Hi, I'm Derek, and this is my story. So, growing up, it was very clear and evident to me and my sister that we would go to college. My parents made it very clear that that is the best way to get a good career and a good job outside of college. So, it was evident that we were going to be going to college. They didn't say where. So, while my family and I lived in Texas, I decided to go to Chicago for college. Because I had a little bit of control of that, and that was kind of what I did. I grew up as a child of an Air Force colonel, and so every little bit of control I could get, I tried to take that. So I went to college in Chicago, and a 4-year college degree. Again, this was to get a good job coming out of college, and that was the idea. So fast forward to right before graduation, I had no clue what I was going to be doing. I didn't have any plans, any job lined up. And so I graduated without a job. And my big plan at the time was to stay in Chicago for that summer and try to find a job throughout the couple of months of the summer. I was dating someone at the time, and I had arranged to have on-campus housing, so I was able to just stay there and look for a job. I don't know how long I actually looked for a job, how hard I looked for that job. I was dating someone, and we were in Chicago, so I don't know. I did put in a couple applications, but I don't remember any callbacks or anything like that, and I didn't strive very hard with it. Before I knew it, it was the end of summer, no job in sight. And so, unfortunately, I had to move back to Texas, which is every parent's dream, to have their kids move back in with them after college. My girlfriend and I decided to do long-distance relationship. And so I moved back to Texas to look for a job. Moving for me wasn't a big problem because I did that every 3 years as part of the Air Force. So I had no problems moving back and forth. And in fact, I spent maybe a month in Texas going to job fairs, putting in applications before I just decided I was done with trying to find a job in Texas. So I started hatching this plan to go to Norfolk, Virginia, and apply for jobs there. I had no connections in Norfolk. I had just always had this thought that I would like to live in Virginia near the beach. And I just happened to have a friend from college who had joined the Navy and was stationed in Norfolk. So I was like, yeah, I'll go crash with them and find a job. I'm not sure what kind of job I could have found for computer science in Norfolk. The military wasn't really for me anyway. And so that was my plan. So I called my girlfriend and said, hey, look, I'm going to Norfolk to crash with this person and look for a job. And she kind of convinced me to go visit her on that trip, because Chicago is very close to Virginia. It's definitely on the way from Texas. So I did that. I drove up to Chicago to hang out with her for a weekend before going on to Norfolk. One morning when I went out to get in my car, the entire driver's side of the car had been totaled, like just crashed into. There was a line of cars in the area that I was parked at that had been hit, and mine seemed to have been the first and got the brunt of the damage. No idea who hit us, what happened. Our assumption was that a drunk driver had careened off of the vehicles and drove off and left the mess. That wasn't great. Definitely ruined my plan to go off to Norfolk for a little bit. So while I was in Chicago dealing with the insurance company and getting that all figured out, I actually got a call to come in for a job interview. And since I had been applying in various places, mainly Chicago and Texas, I was like, where is this job interview? Where should I show up to? And it turned out that the company was a company out in one of the suburbs of Chicago. And of all things, they were a company that did advertising for car dealerships. So that was great for me with my car issues that I was having. And so, long story short, I got the job. and moved to the suburb of Chicago, which actually happened to be really close to where my girlfriend had grown up her whole life. So I actually lived with her parents for a couple of weeks while I figured out living situation. Yeah, so all of the planning that I had done for going to Norfolk and all that turned out not to have worked out, which I found out later because my girlfriend became my wife, Helen, and she let me know a couple of years later that she had been praying against the plan for me to move to Norfolk because she was fairly certain if I did that our relationship would not have lasted. So it wasn't my plan, but definitely God's plan, God's will in my life, and maybe a little bit of my wife's plan too. So, you know, I had grown up as a Episcopal, in the Episcopal Church, and so I always had a relationship with God, but it was never a really deep relationship. But one thing I do recall very vividly is I always had this faith that things would work out. Now it turns out that you know, I would just do whatever I wanted, and my faith was that God would make it work out somehow. And a very naive faith there, or a viewpoint of it. But I've learned through this situation with the car and with other situations in life that God can use whatever situation we're in. Every time I think about this, I think of like the verse in James 4 where he's talking about, hey, you guys are saying we're going to go to this city or that city, do business there, do this or that. What you should be saying is, if it's God's will, we will do this or that. And that has helped me start shifting how I make decisions. So rather than just saying, yeah, we're going to go do this, especially on big things like moves or finding a new job or raising kids in the faith, we definitely look for God's will and ask for direction there. And if we use that to help guide us. But still knowing that sometimes whatever decision we make, God can use it. And it may not be the exact way we think it's going to work out, but that it will work out to God's plan. And so that's my story.